Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. Today the movie I'm reviewing is Escape Room. It is rated PG-13. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, and the score I gave it is a B minus. Let me tell you in a quick nutshell. First of all, have you been to one of those escape rooms in your city? They've been super popular for a number of years, and my family and I get a big kick out of going to these. We even tried to create one in our home, which was an epic fail, but overall, they're a lot of fun. You go into a room and you try to escape, and there's all of these little clues that you have to figure out. So if you like that, you might enjoy this movie. There are lots of rooms, but they're on a big scale, and there are lots of clues that the people have to figure out. So the puzzle part of the movie is actually a lot of fun. And based on all of the successful escape rooms throughout the country, really throughout the world, this movie tries to create that fun element, but throw in a couple of different twists. It feels very familiar, kind of like a slasher horror movie where one person dies in each room. And, so in that sense, it's a horror movie. Some people die horrible deaths. You don't see a whole lot of blood and gore, but you do see some violent deaths. There's some profanity. There's lots of screaming and peril. And you see a guy without a shirt on. That's the heads up for the parents. The themes are persistence, certainly, and surviving is a choice. In fact, that's a line that Jason, the character Jason, says. He's played by Jay Ellis. And then, of course, the importance of critical thinking skills. That's something that's certainly worth talking to your kids about if you're a parent. Some things that I really liked is that the premise is really great. It has great potential. It was really fun to try to figure out the clues myself and imagine myself in those situations to see how well I would do. And then some of the things were just, really ridiculous. The movie could have dragged on and on as people are hunting and looking at all of these clues, but in not every room, but in some rooms, there is some element of urgency. And so that helps. The deadlines kind of are helpful in order to finish each room section in a timely manner. And that ticking clock, there wasn't really, well, I guess there was a ticking clock, but that ticking clock idea is definitely helpful to add tension to each of the scenes. And stressful, because sometimes when I know something's going to happen, like in one case, they're in a room and the floor is literally falling out board by board from underneath them. And I'm just like, I don't do very well under pressure in that regard. I'd be dead so fast. The young cast includes Taylor Russell, Logan Miller, Deborah Ann Wall, Jay Ellis, Tyler Labine, and Nick Dodani. And I hope I'm pronouncing their names correctly. I wasn't familiar with very many of them, so that's kind of fun to meet a new cast of characters. The Upside Down room I thought was visually really fun to watch, and it reminded me of the Upside Down room in the new Mary Poppins movie, although without the same outcome. I won't give you the spoiler on that. But they did create some really interesting rooms, I thought. So that it was really fun just to see what they were going to do. Now, there were some things that I didn't like, and that is that there's not enough backstory to make you really care about the characters early on. As the movie develops, you learn a little bit more about them, really more about an event that happened in their life that brings them together, but still you don't learn that much about their personalities other than they're all super stressed out. There's lots of yelling and bickering, and I kept wanting to yell out, just calm down, think, be kind to each other, work together. And that's one of my pet peeves is when people are just mean. Like, there's no need to be mean and snotty. And some of the characters are, and that just instantly makes me not like them. So I don't know, that kind of spoiled it a little bit for me too. The trailers actually kind of spoil the fun, and they reveal a little bit too much. The storyline was somewhat believable until the very end when it becomes ridiculous and even predictable in a sense. So there's that. And like all horror movies, people make really dumb choices. It's so frustrating to watch that. And maybe that's part of the fun, because you're like, no, don't do that. Like a typical horror movie. Don't go into the basement in the middle of the night when there's noises and you don't turn the light on. Why do people do that? So they make some dumb choices in this movie. Maybe not that bad, but whatever. Some people have actually been comparing this movie to the movie Saw, but that movie is actually way more gory and disgusting and just brutal. It's just deaths and lots of blood and gore. And at least in this movie, there's a direct result of the person that leaves the scene, shall we say, based on their choices. Whereas some of those horror movies, it's just one bad guy and he's just being vicious and killing everybody. So some funny lines were when Ben, the character played by Logan Miller, says, you know, what do we do now? And Jason says, I don't know, try not to die. To do stretches. Another line is when Mike, played by Tyler Labine, says, I hate this room so much. I just thought that was funny. Anyway, there are some interesting lines. There's an interesting statement made by someone, no spoiler alert, about how the world has gone soft. And I would love to hear you comment below. Do you think that's true? Do you think that people today just can't handle it, that we're so soft that, you know, a lot of people have made that statement that we go to the grocery store, we get our food, we have no concept of how to grow it, or in the case of meat, fish, chicken, how those animals are slaughtered, and we couldn't even feed ourselves if we had to. And in that sense, I definitely agree. I think society across the world is a lot that way. It's interesting, though, when you go to other countries, that they are less queasy than Americans, especially when it comes to meat products, for example, over in Asia. Even in Europe, they've got all kinds of body parts of animals hanging right out in the open, you know, in open food markets and that kind of thing. And Americans are so squeamish. So I know for sure Americans are squeamish. I spent quite a bit of time in China with some work that I do there, and I'm so comfortable all the time. I either have air conditioning when it's hot, or I have my heater on when it's cold, and it's throughout the entire house. So I don't even have to walk anywhere in my house and be uncomfortable. And then I go to some of these other countries and there's a little space heater or a little tiny air conditioner. And I just think, wow, Americans have become really soft compared to the rest of the world in that regard. Anyway, comment below because I would love to hear what you had to think about this movie and even just the idea about Americans going soft or everybody going soft. In the meanwhile, is that a phrase? In the meantime, in the meanwhile, whatever it is, subscribe to Movie Review Mom and be sure and visit my website, moviereviewmom.com. Sign up for my newsletter and I'll send you a free report on how to watch movies for free. Yeah, I don't mean sneaking into the movie theater. I mean legitimate ways where you can watch them at home and in the movie theater. Anyway, be sure and pick that up. Have a great time at the movies. Bye for now.